It's October 16th, 2021, and welcome to episode 64 of the Baby Metal Podcast. We gather in the podcast Discord server on alternate weeks to discuss news and thoughts on the past and future projects of Baby Metal. We invite you to join us, whether you're a longtime fan or have only just arrived. I am Paul, and I am joined by Kevin.
Hey, welcome back, everybody.
And Maggie.
So I started crying.
Aw.
I got my Vital in and I started crying.
Have you even opened it?
Yes. Oh, it's pretty. It's so nice. I don't have it in my frame yet. And I actually haven't listened to it yet, which I know that sounds ridiculous. But I will after we're done with the podcast. I'll listen to it. And then I'll get it framed and hang up on my wall.
I'm just glad
Excellent.
you can listen to it.
Yes. I am so excited. It's 4 years. It's been 4 years. And I finally have something from it. Like, I have, merch.
So what did you buy? Maybe you should tell everybody what you bought.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. I guess, yes, I got to assume that people don't always listen to us. I bought the vinyl from the 10 Baby Metal Years Vinyls live series, the Big Fox Festival vinyl for that, because that was my very, very first overseas Baby Metal show. 2017 in Osaka, and it was well, now looking back, obviously it was a very special one because that was also Yui's last show. And so I have merch and stuff from it, but I never had any. I didn't buy the big set because it was it's $300 to buy five Blu-ray discs and then the Big Fox Festival one, and I just can't really afford to do that. So I've never had anything from that show to actually, I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I've never actually seen or heard the full entire show in one go. So this makes me so excited because this will be the first time I actually get to listen to the whole entire show all at once. And actually, I'm about ready to cry right now. It's just so great. I'm just so excited. Yes. So enough about me. Sorry. But yes, hi. Welcome, everybody. We're recording. This is awesome. All right.
We're here. We're back.
We're back.
We're not sealed.
We're not sealed. No, we are not.
We're not sealed for now.
No, we have a lot of things we could go over.
We do.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we did have one episode on the feed more recently than the DragonCon panel that we put on the feed. By the way, our audio is much better than the video audio.
It is.
So you're welcome. So I guess that's probably basically the last event that happened, and we were thinking we might talk a little bit about the experience of doing the DragonCon panel, and then move on to all the other stuff, the 10 BABYMETAL Budokan stuff. That all descended upon us.
Pretty much all at once.
Yeah. So, although we thought we'll talk about the DragonCon thing, but then we didn't actually really talk about what we were going to say. So, I don't know, Kevin, did you have anything that you wanted to lead off with?
Sure. You know what? We didn't really talk about what we talked about what it was, but not really our experience there, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, they heard the actual panel itself, that hour, but not what led up to it and what happened after, and
got it.
What it was like being there.
Yeah, I mean, I've told the story to friends a couple of times, so I can lead us off here.
All right.
So yeah, we got to do a panel. This was pretty cool. Professor Hartley set it up at DragonCon, kind of on a whim. He was jokingly messaging one of the con organizers, "Hey, let's do one of these. That'd be fun." And then I guess it was that same day or within a couple of days, it was a reality, and he suddenly needed people to fill the panel and be panelists. So he reached out to all three of us on the podcast. Unfortunately, Maggie wasn't able to go.
No.
But Paul and I were able to go. And this was a bucket list item for me. I've gone to cons before. I enjoy cons, pre-plague and all of that. That was something I enjoyed doing. So kind of being on a panel is a checkbox item for me. That I'm very pleased and happy that I got to check off, because that's not something many people get to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you do the con thing, you go to panels and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. These guys are panelists, and it's always interesting, and you always kind of wonder what the behind the scenes of that is.
They're
And
so smart, and they know so much.
Right? So I never really considered myself as those things or qualified to be on a panel, but here I am buying plane tickets to Atlanta to go to Dragon Con. We get there. Meet up with Professor Hartley. We hang out kind of in the morning. This is Paul's first time ever being at a convention like this, which was, I guess, maybe not surprising.
I don't know. I'm slightly surprised by that.
I did go to PAX East once, which is not quite the same thing.
Yeah, it's not really the same.
Much more video game focused.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But it's still a heck of a lot of fun, though.
Similarly huge.
Yes.
Dragon Fury asks, what is Dragon Con exactly? That's a great question. So Dragon Con is, it's a Comic-Con-esque, right? So it's comic books, superheroes.
Yeah. It used to be more anime based, but then they kind of expanded that. So it's a lot like New York Comic Con, San Francisco, or is it it's San Diego Comic Con, excuse me.
San Diego.
Yep.
My nerd card, I need to get rid of it apparently. Yeah, it's a lot like that.
Yeah. So, tons of people show up. There's artists for comic books, and it's just in general panels you can attend on all kinds of different topics, from your favorite sci-fi and comic book series to major movies, promoting their new movie with some of the stars and talking about it. And it takes over the whole city of Atlanta. Everybody's
big like representation from Star Trek, like modern Star Trek, and well, actually, also Shatner was there before he went into space.
Before he went into space,
and a bunch of Doctor Who people. I didn't see any of them. We were there very very narrowly, but there were that's the kind of place it is.
Right. Cosplay, anime, comic books, popular culture. Thousands of people descending on a city to celebrate those things and enjoy each other's company. That's Dragon Con.
Spread over something like 5 major downtown hotels, I think.
Yeah.
So,
It's
and
big.
these hotels, I guess I don't go to that many major hotels, but a couple of these at least were set up in a way where they had, I forget what you call it, an atrium in the middle, where
Right.
there's sort of like a very big space, and then around it are all the rooms and stuff going on.
yeah.
And it is really just kind of like vertigo inducing when you're when you're up several, like on the 18th floor looking down.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's Dragon Con in a nutshell. Back to where we fit in. I came in the night before and hung out with Professor Hartley. We had some drinks with some of his writer buddies, and just kind of took in Atlanta. That was fun. The second day, the day of our panel, Paul arrived. I met Paul at the airport, and we went downtown. And we just kind of gave Paul a little bit of a con experience. We went through the artists hall when it opened, just kind of walked around through all the hotels so he could look at the cosplay and stuff, because it was his first time kind of experiencing all of that. It'll be fun to hear kind of Paul's perspective on his first major convention of this type. We checked in at our panel room, which was about the size we expected. Sat about 50 people, I think, or so. And the track we were on was all kinds of just Japanese culture stuff. I think the panel before us was...
It was like textiles.
Textiles, that's what it was.
Oh,
Japanese
that would've been
textiles and
cool.
history. Yeah. The panel following us, to give you an example, was a Japanese comedy, right?
Interesting.
So those are the kind of things that were on this track with us. That's where we slotted in. And going into this whole thing, I think we kind of settled on, if we get 10 people in the room to listen to us ramble about baby metal for an hour, it's a win. So we had no expectations of this. So we checked in at the room, just wanted to see where it was and that kind of thing. And then just kind of wandered around the rest of the afternoon, had lunch, wandered around the con, that kind of thing. And then we came back to the room, about 10 minutes before our panel was supposed to start. And it was a little surprising. The way it had it set up, it was downstairs in one of the hotels, one of the smaller hotels of the con, and around a corner. And we come down the escalator and turn around the corner, and there's this giant line that's forming, going into the hallway where our room is. And we're like, well, surely that's not for us. We're near rooms that are talking about like Star Trek and other way more popular things. So we just assumed that these people were lined up for something else. And, we turn the corner and see our door, and like, oh my God, everybody's lined up to go into our panel room. And this was a lot of people. It was a long line. It was long enough to where when we walked past the line and into the door, the person at the front mentioned to us, "Hey, there's a line, right, to get into the panel room."
Yeah, which is, that's fair.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hello, person, if you're listening to this now, we thought it was funny. We thought
it was funny.
It's fine.
Yeah, I think Professor Hartley made a remark. So yeah, for us. So yeah, we ended up filling out pretty much the whole room. There was somewhere between 40 and 50 people, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sounds about right. People were standing in the back, not because there were a lack of chairs, but because it would be awkward to show up to a thing late and kind of walk through everybody and sit down, I think.
There was actually even somebody who was wearing a shirt too.
Yeah.
I forget from what show, but that was interesting. It wasn't quite the sea of noobs that it could have been.
Yeah, we had this grand plan and this grand document and this really long email chain with our moderator and Professor Hartley deciding what we were going to talk about, and Paul spent tons of time on this outline that kind of chronicled how to get somebody up to speed in an hour and introduce them to the group and things like that, and we basically had to throw most of that out the window.
Best laid plans to waste.
Yeah.
I think that there definitely was a representation of people who knew them pretty well in the audience. I'm not myself convinced that everybody was, right up to speed.
Right.
But I think if you listen to the panel, you probably could tell it. I think it worked out pretty well. It gave a little bit of an introduction to people who might have been dragged there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we were able to get a little further in.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a little intimidating just to sit up there in front of a bunch of people and be expected to be an expert on something. And when I don't really consider myself or think of myself as an expert in something. And then especially when, I don't know if you haven't had a chance to listen to the panel, one of the first things we did was ask who'd heard of the group, and almost everybody's in the room hand went up. And then we asked who'd seen them live. And then again, almost everybody's hands went up. So our plan to introduce the room to the group and kind of walk them through the history and stuff like that immediately kind of had to get thrown out the window.
Atlanta was one of the places. A lot of people come from far away for this, but Atlanta was on the tour.
Yeah.
Which tour?
The 2018,
tour,
I believe, at the Coca-Cola Roxy or something like that, if I remember it correctly.
That sounds correct.
Yeah.
So if you hadn't had a chance to listen to the panel, it's on our feed. The video version is on Professor Hartley's YouTube channel. Check it out. I thought we did an okay job. Like Paul mentioned, we got a chance to kind of give a little bit of background and history and introduce the room for anybody, like Paul said, who may have been dragged to this thing. What the group is, kind of where they are, what they're all about. Talk about their history a little bit. Paul did a great job assembling clips that we could show. We had a little projector and a screen that let us show things like Doki Doki Morning. We got to talk about Sakura Gakuen a little bit and where they started, so we got to show some of that to show the contrast between the two groups and kind of where they came from, because I think that's important history and context. And then we spent, I think, the last 20 minutes or so answering questions from the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, what do you have to say?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's all correct. Being at the, so it was great to have that chance to actually, sort of like do the panel. It was pretty interesting to see, the sort of like the con environment too. I mean, you mentioned being interested in, and I was pretty impressed with the incredible scale that some of the cosplay outfits were taken to. I mean,
welcome to the world.
Right.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I think it's I forget how big it is. 50,000 people, something like that, is how big it usually is. I think it was
something
less
like
this year, but and nevertheless, it has this feeling of like it's a bunch of friends getting together.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it still manages to be like a little get together, even if it is 5 digits long and it's population. So,
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was interesting. I'm kind of looking forward to the possibility of going to something like this in a normal year. When it isn't, when I'm not just trying to stay very far away from everybody.
I get that.
But yeah, that was pretty fun.
Xbox X, was there somebody or total noobs to Baby Metal there? And did we manage to convert them? I don't know. We didn't really pull the room on that. I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
Like Paul said, there was probably people there that were dragged by a friend or family member because they weren't their friend or family member was interested in the panel. Mm-hmm. So maybe. I hope so.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That would be that we should have asked that. Next time we'll ask that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess at the end, hopefully we get to do that again. It sounds like it's a possibility. Everybody who attends a panel at this, the con has an app you can download to provide feedback to the con and all the panels you attend to. And I guess our feedback was very positive. And
nice.
Our moderator was already talking about the possibility of doing this again. Professor Hartley was also talking about expanding or maybe adding a panel on Japanese music as a whole, not just drilled down on baby metal. So who knows? Yeah. Maybe we'll have an opportunity to do this again next year.
Professor Hartley is a regular at Dragon Con. I mean, like he goes every year. He had like a dozen panels or something this year.
Yeah.
And so he's a guest. Like he's officially listed on the list. He had a fancy suite and access to the green room area, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
We spent a little bit of time in there, like eating little sandwiches and watching the talks going on in the big rooms.
Right.
So.
Yeah, good experience. Hopefully we get to do it again.
Hopefully I get to join next time.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope so.
Plan a little further ahead.
Yeah, this was, I suppose, in the terms of needing to get travel arrangements and all that, a little last minute for us.
Very last minute.
Yeah. That's true. It came up pretty quickly, although the demand on travel is so light these days that it wasn't that hard to actually get travel.
Right.
But I have to say that was a tense journey and a tense waiting for results afterwards and that kind of thing.
Yeah. It was a very surgical strike. I got there very late the night before the panel and was on a plane back home about 4 hours after our panel ended.
Yeah, I didn't even get a hotel. I was in the morning and out at night.
Yeah, Paul is even more surgical. That's easier to do when you're not flying across the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, anyway. Yeah, well, that was interesting. I wasn't sure that we actually had that much to say about it, but turns out we kind of did.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So let's see, what else has happened? I mean, I guess what's happened in the wider world of baby metal is that we have reached that time when all of the 10 BABYMETAL Budokan stuff came out and has arrived. Probably the first thing in the sort of pile of things that arrived was the tarot cards. I don't think we talked about that, and that they came in. They came in more recently, I think, than our most recent recording, but not much more recently.
Mm-hmm.
So
I did not buy them.
I didn't either. I know, shame on me.
They're nice. They're small. They're somehow. I mean, you never know how big anything's going to be from the photos on the web, just because everything is photographed to look epic. But ultimately they're sort of card sized and they're in a sort of book sized container. But the art is nice. It's like I forget the artist now. I probably should have looked that up. But it's the same person that did. There's a bunch of shirts that have also been done with that same design, including the one that I sort of am most fond of.
Starts with a Ka?
Well, normally I know that artist typically shares their art on, they have an official portfolio website, and they usually post it on their, because they do stuff for Bandmade too. Yeah, they have a portfolio that has all their stuff on it, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Morbo in the chat pointed out it's Isana Kagami, and actually on the official news release from the end of June, it's on the babymetal.com site.
Mm-hmm.
So it says these original tarot cards have been intricately and carefully designed by illustrator Isana Kagami, who has been designing many of Baby Metal's t-shirts over the years. So if you want to find out information on the illustrator Isana Kagami, there's a site, blackinkcraft.com, and there's a portfolio that says Isana Kagami, Japan, Tokyo, she, her.
There you go.
But but they look great. Anyway, that's the bottom line is they do look very nice, and there are photos of them out there. They have sort of like foil highlights and things, so that they do. You know, they're a nice thing to have a physical edition of.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So, anyway, so not much more to say about that except that they I think lived up to
people's
the
expectations.
expectation.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good.
What else? Okay, so I guess following along in the chronology, some of the vinyl records were arriving. So Maggie just talked about the Big Fox Festival showing up, but they've been arriving for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, have you gotten any, or are they still all sitting in your Tenso?
I have gotten all of my Osmart ones because I had those shipped direct. No, sorry, I did not have them shipped direct. I had them all sent to Tenso before I realized or really looked that they were all coming out at different times and dates.
Yeah.
So I have half of them. I didn't buy all of them, but I have half of the ones I did order, which was most of them. They're gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
They really are. I've listened to Legend 97 and opened that one. The packaging is really nice. They're very thick. The records themselves, I think, are 180 grams, so they're pretty heavy.
Mm-hmm.
They sound nice. They're mixed better than I expected. Not really having a official CD or live album to compare it to. They sound pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
They do sound like they were a digital mixed and then printed onto vinyl, for what that's worth, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with them. For somebody like Maggie who's going to hang them all up or hang up the ones to get and display them, they're going to look great. They're gorgeous. They're well printed. They're not printed on like cheap cardboard. They're heavy, thick, and look great in a case. So I'm quite pleased with them.
So I got that one, the 9997 and Live at the Forum, and I think neither one is like a gatefold. I mean, like,
no,
I think
they're
you've got a front
slide.
and a back, and then everything's in the middle.
It's
Yeah,
a
they're
slide.
slide.
Yeah.
So you have to get two of each if you want to, display them fully.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess, didn't we talk about this at some point? Like maybe hanging them in a transparent thing that could rotate.
Oh.
You could dangle them from the ceiling, so you could like stand on one side or the other.
Oh, no, I don't remember us
go.
talking about that, but that's kind of cool, though.
Yeah. Yeah, my second half for Intenso, because they shipped a month later. Annoyingly.
So what do you think of the towels? All the non-Osmart ones, all the non-the one ones came with little towel representations of the art.
Yeah, I mean, they're
they're
probably
little.
Yeah, they're about the size of my hand and probably the cheapest material I've ever seen for a towel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're basically transparent.
Oh.
Yep.
They are not very high quality.
Oh, well, I'm glad I didn't get one then.
Yeah. I mean, I guess better to have a free, quote, air quotes, free thing to come with my expensive vinyl than not to have a free thing that comes with my expensive vinyl. But yeah, they're pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And I did look. I mean, so we were talking, I think, last time on the last recording about whether the covers were included on 9997, and they are on the on the vinyls. I think they're not. I think they're not streamed, which is why the question arose. But I think they are. But they're definitely listed on the cover, at least of the.
Yeah, they're on there. I've heard them.
Well, that's good.
Okay,
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably the favorite of the vinyls I've purchased, just because it's awesome to have those covers in particular as something I can listen to regularly without having to, pull out the video version of that concert.
Right.
That concert has always disappointed me a little bit in that there's something of, Blu-ray, even if it is Blu-ray, the video quality is just not quite there.
Well, it's because they haven't actually ever released a Blu-ray. They might print on a Blu-ray disc, but they're not actually like Blu-ray quality.
Oh, you think the 9997 was upscaled?
No, I think they're at 1080p, but the video they give you is 1080i, 30 FPS, and a moderate bitrate. It's whatever they're printing on DVD. They're just happen to also be printing on Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's anyway, I would love somehow to go back in time and reshoot that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it is what it is. And it's cool to have the actual vinyl editions. I don't
Definitely.
yet have a actual player, but working on it.
We can fix that.
Okay, let's see. And I think that pretty much takes us to the 29th, right? When all the rest of the stuff came out.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we had another BabyNet da da da.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was exciting.
It was different.
Buy more stuff.
Yep. It's gone now too. I don't know if you noticed that, but like
I
you
did
can't watch
notice
it
that.
anymore. They broadcast it on YouTube, and it's like the previous ones. It was sort of like it's for selling these live Budokan shows.
Yep.
But then they took it down. So
Weird.
I imagine because you can't buy that stuff anymore.
maybe, but I thought the older ones were there. I guess I didn't look to see if the old.
I don't think the old ones are on there anymore either.
Oh, really? Oh, I don't pay attention. I mean, I watched them, but
Yeah, I checked this morning before we recorded because I was going to watch it or skip through it again so I could talk about it, but none of them were available.
Sad because unlike the previous ones, I don't think I grabbed this one. Oh well, somebody must have. I hope.
yeah, I didn't watch it either.
But there was a little bit of special merch that came along with this as before. The main thing that was special to this was this drum backpack,
I thought that was kind of neat, actually.
which is pretty funny. Yeah, it's like sort of half an oil drum on your back, basically. I don't think it's actually made out of metal, but
No.
it has that look.
Yeah.
You could put drumsticks in there.
You
I
could.
mean, it was relatively big. I mean, it's not huge by no means, but it was, decent size. I mean, you could put a whole wad of drumsticks in there. I don't know.
Or all your arrows for your archery.
Yeah, that too.
I think at least the way I understood this was this actually it's not for holding drum equipment so much as that it could serve as a drum if you wanted to bang on its lid.
Oh,
Yeah, I suppose you could.
Like you could accompany your friend who has the pail.
Nice.
But anyway, yeah. So that was interesting. I wasn't even close to tempted, really, but
Yeah, I wasn't either.
I think there's a certain amount of merch burnout that one does get to at a point. Anyway, don't think there was much more about that.
Nope. Not really. Although it sold out, so sold out pretty quickly.
I forget when this started. The tower had the so there were a couple of these different exhibitions, right? And Tower had its own. So HMV, I think it was, had the first ones,
Right.
and then Tower had a different one, and the Tower one was supposed to have a recreation of part of the Budokan stage.
Yes.
Yep.
I've been saying Budokan. I think they say Budokan. Actually, I think that middle syllable is long. But I think I'm just going to keep saying Budokan because that's what it looks like when I read it.
Right.
But I remember being sort of surprised when I was listening to the interviews, and they talked about this, and when I was actually sort of paying attention to what they were saying along with the translation, it was Budokan, as if they stressed the second syllable, which was totally not how I was expecting to hear it. Anyway, but so Tower had his own exhibition. It had, and they, like the other one, didn't allow photographs inside, so we don't really know. What was in there. There was a Reddit post that talked a little bit about, in text what was there. So let's see. The post was by Koba11 is the username on Reddit.
Love it.
At the entrance, you were asked to roll dice, and the prizes were given were a postcard-sized picture or a Budokan mask. The poster won a mask, which is great, according to the poster, because now that poster has 8 unopened masked.
Oh, dang, man.
Because, I guess you get one for each of the shows. Anyways, a single rectangular room. To the left, there was all 10 gongs. To the right, Mall Metal and Sue Metal costumes. And then one of the star-shaped crosses for the BABYMETAL Death Crucifixion at the beginning of 2 of the sets of shows. So, and then at the back of the room, there was a projector running the Budokan shows. And then the central area, there were 3 columns with pictures of the shows. So it looks like it would have been, it would have been cool to go.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I wonder if we'll ever have anything more than just that report, basically, because as far as I can tell, everybody's been fairly respectful of the no photographs rule, which means no record for us.
Right, so, exactly.
But who knows?
Only the Fox God.
Okay, that is the answer.
Yes.
That's the answer.
There was some, I think this was all Tower related. There was some collaboration merch as well. So, and the most probably sort of relevant to that is the Baby Metal beer. Did we talk about that before?
Slightly, I think.
Okay.
I think we knew it was coming, but now we know more about it.
Yeah. I figured out it was a like made in Germany.
Made in Germany.
Yeah.
We would like to assume that is Moa's choice. Since she wanted to go back to Germany and drink beer with people, right?
I think
Did you say that at some point?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Asahara Brewery is who brewed it. 5% ABV.
Who was it?
Asahara Brewery.
Oh.
Which doesn't sound all that German, does it?
Well, so here's what we know from Deep L, and thanks to Paul Scanlon for finding somebody's photo of the ingredients label on the backside of the beer. So it's German barley, wheat, malt, and hops. It's 330 milliliters, 5% ABV, brewed by Asahara Brewery Company in Saitama.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a bit of Germanness in there, but it's
not actually
fabricated in Japan.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's pretty common. Like, if you buy Japanese beer, for example, anywhere outside of Japan, it's usually brewed by a partner brewery.
Oh.
Okay.
Like Asahi, I think is brewed. It might be brewed by Budweiser in the States.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's the same recipe, but it's way cheaper to partner with a big distributor and brew it in the local area.
That makes sense.
Than ship it across. I mean, you can get it shipped across, but
that would be expensive.
It's cheaper. So that's pretty common for beer.
Okay. Well, so anyway, I don't know what I would, if faced with the choice of getting this, I don't know what I would do. I mean, I guess I would, I sort of feel like I would get it because it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But then do you drink it? I mean, I guess you do.
You get
I would
two,
because
one to drink and one to display.
Well, I mean, you don't care about the contents, right? You don't need to save that. You can drink it and save the bottle. That's what I do.
I mean, I guess so.
I'm pretty sure that's what I would do.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I went to Norway and got a Coke bottle full of fjord water, and I kept.
Nice.
And in that case, the fjord water was the the Coke bottle wasn't so much the artifact. So in that case, I did keep the liquid in there. But
yeah,
that's cool though.
I think I must still have that somewhere.
Just a bottle of gross fjord water.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like who can understand kids,
right?
But. There was also at the tower thing. There was also this Mystic game, which I'm not sure that I. Does anyone understand this?
No, nope, not a lick.
Yeah, not really.
It costs something, so you bought a ticket to do something, and essentially I think this was sort of tower centric. I mean, like, so the idea is that, there are clues scattered around the tower store that you find to solve whatever mystery is on this card that you were given, and you have like some set period of time to do it, and they tell you you're not supposed to none of the clues are hidden in non-public spaces, so don't go through all the employees only doors.
Right.
You don't have to like break open or deface any items that are for sale, and you shouldn't disrupt the other tower customers. So. But if you solve it, then you get some sort of certificate saying you solved it. So who knows? I think that I suspect we're never going to know much more than that.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that's probably about it. Then that same day, the 29th, when everything was released, that was also when all the editions of the 10 Baby Metal Budokan thing went out. We talked about all the different editions of this already, but like there's a couple of different the one editions. There's a sort of regular people edition that's just night 9 and 10, I think.
That feels so wrong to say.
Yeah.
Don't say that. It doesn't matter what you own.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you own. It doesn't define you, what you buy and what you spend as a fan.
Right. Yeah. True enough. but you definitely had to be pretty dedicated to get the big
You
the one
did.
edition.
Yeah.
Or stupid, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah,
True.
it is potentially good for them that they're on entirely on the opposite side of the world from people when they're making decisions. Because like for us, it's the middle of the night.
Yeah.
It was sleep deprived button pressing. But anyway, yeah, all those arrived, and we could probably talk through those. So what that means is, though, that in particular that big the one edition had Blu-rays for each pairing of the shows.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we now have instances of all the songs that they played.
That sucker came in the biggest box I've ever gotten from Osmart for a single item.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
it is-
thing was
it is thick.
honker. It was huge.
And I just don't mean yes, the set itself is huge. The box I came in is about 4 times too big for it. The shipping box.
Okay. That's weird.
Like you could have shipped a toddler in this box. It was huge.
Ask him how he knows.
Oh my.
Yeah, mine. I guess mine wasn't that much bigger. Did
Yeah.
you have something else in there?
The only thing I can deduce is that they did that because I also got the vinyl, but the vinyl is maybe a extra square inch bigger than the box
Yeah.
for the actual Blu-rays. It's not like it's hugely different.
Mine came in a way bigger box than it needed to box as well. So, but then again, I also got another thing of duct tape. So,
Ah, I see.
Gotcha. You can't have enough duct tape.
well,
Yeah. I think the I saw a couple of photographs though of people whose things arrived, but with bashed in corners.
Aw.
So,
Yes.
which I mean, like that's bad. This one probably would be like the worst thing to get a bashed in corner
right?
Yeah.
on.
Well,
But
yeah.
so I mean, like normally, I think it's worth it for them to overpackage at least this.
mhm.
But nevertheless, it is gigantic.
Yeah.
And so looking at it on the little row of just anonymous looking brown boxes
Yeah.
that they look like when they're not out, it is definitely the fattest one there.
Fattest.
Yeah,
PH.
for reference, I think it's about 3 the one editions tall of past one edition concerts.
It's big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge and very heavy.
But so and within it, of course, there are 6 folders, right? I mean,
Yeah.
one the photo book, and then 5 for the shows.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost a cube.
It is almost a cube. It's
1 foot
it's very
cube,
nice.
yeah.
I'm quite pleased with it. I guess we can talk about the contents. The photo book is excellent. I think this is one of the better photo books they've released. Interpreting it, from the perspective of a photographer. I was actually talking with Darren. I was talking with Darren about it. He always complains about the red in concerts because it's difficult to shoot.
Right.
Shout out to our episode where we talked to Darren about photographing baby metal. There's a lot of white light at this show, so there's a lot of great photos that look like photos because they're not washed in red. There's still a fair amount of red, hilarious, bad photos in it, but there's a lot more white ones than red ones, which is great. That makes the photo book, to me, one of the better ones they've released. And it also says a lot about how they're lighting their concerts now because they're using white light more effectively, finally. It's funny. I took a picture of, they have a full page spread in the book of just a sea of red. And one of the moments, it's a wide shot of them on stage and it's just all red. And I took a photo of that page and sent it to Darren.
Yeah.
Just to trigger him a little bit.
Kobo wrote this book that sort of details his perspective on all of these big legend shows. And we actually just recently, from Funny Toss and Capable Paramedic, got a big translation of them. And we'll talk about that probably next time.
Yes.
But one of the things that's in there is actually, sort of discussing the very sort of intentional lighting choices that they are always red, blue, or white, and that it's really trying to go for a kind of like a subtractive feel on the light rather than rather than an
Right.
additive one. So I mean, like all that red stuff it's intentional. It still makes it makes for bad photography, but
Yeah.
yeah.
If as a fan or an attendee, that the lighting I think is great. One of the things we actually talked about on the panel a little bit at Dragon Con was how Baby Metal is more like musical theater than a concert when you attend. So I get it. I love it. I think it looks awesome. It's really fun atmosphere. But as somebody who has experience as a photographer and who can't help but evaluate the image I'm looking at from a technical perspective, it's really frustrating. All the colors are really frustrating.
Yeah. But it is interesting that it hadn't really sunk in before that there really isn't, there's almost never any other color. I mean,
Yeah.
you can, if you think of Tales of the Destinies and Ine, you can see some green lasers in your head.
Sure.
But that's about the only other color I can think of that they ever use.
I don't know. Do you count yellow and orange in Fire from Papaya?
I would count yellow.
Yeah. I guess, well, that's true. Once we get to Homogenai too, there's a lot of yellow and red.
Yeah.
So,
but
it's not
you're
light.
right. Yeah, but you're right. As far as stage lighting goes,
Yeah.
I think those are the only 3 colors I can think of.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, it's been true all along. It's just reading that it sort of made me realize that. It's like, oh yeah, actually, that's true.
Mm-hmm. I guess back to talking about the contents of the thing. I've watched about half of them so far. It's a lot of content. I haven't had a chance to watch 5 hours worth of concert. I want to ask for you guys, have you, what are your thoughts on the mix?
Oh, the audio mix?
The audio mix? Yeah.
I have no clue.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
It's okay. I've only ever seen the live streams, and that's it. So.
Right, the 9 and 10 live stream.
Yeah.
Paul, what are your thoughts on the mix?
I'm trying to think. I hadn't actually given it a lot of thought, but I have actually been listening to the audio CDs. Like, so I
Sure.
I ripped those and listened to them, and I'm trying to think. I mean, like
they're about the same,
right? Yeah, and I'm just trying to remember what my thoughts were. I mean, I definitely had. There were certain things that I thought were less audible than I would have liked. Like
here's
some of the
my
guitar
thoughts.
parts. But
the whole thing sounds a little muddy to me. Like overly heavy in the low end, and I lose some of the mids and vocal range. Like, it's not the worst thing they've mixed and released, but it's certainly not the best. Does that kind of jive with your thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah. I mean, sure. I know that I was not feeling like, oh, this is the best. I mean, like and in fact, actually, I know Maggie may not approve of this, but I, in fact, sometimes just go back and listen to Legend of Metal Galaxy instead.
It is what it is.
But yeah,
I think Legend of Metal Galaxy is mixed better.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I don't remember having this thought during the live streams.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember thinking to myself, the mix sounds muddy.
I wonder if it's different. That would be sad.
I want to go back and compare notes on what they streamed versus what I got on the Blu-ray. I could just be all in my head on this and hearing things that aren't really there. But yeah, I'm not super happy with the mix. Which I suppose is a continuing frustration with this group because millions of other bands out there have already figured it out. And bands of lower notoriety are capable of releasing higher quality content for cheaper.
What is his name? Ted Jensen, I think. Is that his name?
Ted Jensen.
Okay, so which one did he mix? You remember?
He did the 10 Baby Metal Years album.
Oh, he did the album.
He did the studio one.
The studio album.
But I felt like he worked on something else too.
Yeah, he did the Budokan 2014.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because
his stuff is great.
Yeah.
His mixes are awesome. You're not getting that quality with these discs, which is really disappointing considering the price of admission.
Yeah, and I would have hoped at least that 9 and 10 would have gotten that. That they would have recruited him for that. Yeah, but.
Visually, it's great. I think this is one of the better edited, from a visual perspective, concerts that they've released. There's certainly less frantic cutting between scenes, and we get to hold on moments a little longer.
Yeah,
you're still not going to get, it's always going to cut away in the middle of Megitsune, right? It just does. They just do that.
Because
Yeah,
they
we have to
know
accept
what's
that
coming.
at this point. Yeah, we just have to accept that at this point. But this is still, I think, one of the better edited visually concert series that they've released.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did a kind of a funny thing earlier, which was, thanks to the click track, we can do this. I put 5 and 6 synced up with 9 and 10 because both of those have basically the same set lists. They both start with BABYMETAL Death Shin version, and so I could sort of compare them, and because this is also precise. It's a little bit like just a multi-camera on the same show. Mm-hmm. It's not quite, and I could say that what I did discover was that there's a color difference, which I was a little surprised by. So 5 and 6 is quite a bit more saturated than 9 and 10. And 9 and 10 is the public release. That's the one that if people only have access to one, it's that one. So I'm assuming that's kind of the last one or the most refined one, but I guess they decided to sort of back away a little bit on the color saturation.
Interesting.
So it definitely seems less red generally, and I don't think it's lighting. I think it actually is, actually processing.
Yeah, the red is very red on video, very red.
I suppose that might be what it is too. Is that they tried to make the red parts look less red.
Yeah.
But I think I like the less saturated color of 9 and 10 better.
Yeah, I will always prefer the less saturated color.
Yeah. And I guess, so just sort of comparing the two, I would say, so 5 and 6 is the one that has Onodari Daisuke and Akatsuki on it. Mm-hmm. And that's, so it's one of the relatively obscure ones, right? I mean, that you can only get it, I think.
Yeah, that's the only way you can get it is if you get it in the big one edition.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So it's this 1 and 3 and 4 that are inaccessible any other way, I think. And it seems to me that one has slightly more representation of the Kami band in it. They jump to the guitars playing a little bit more often.
Yeah.
When I was looking at them side by side, the shots are different. I mean, it's definitely not just the same, cameras running the same shots. They are different. And in fact, actually, I do kind of feel like the 5 and 6 one, like they often miss the thing that's on the downbeat. It's kind of weird in a way. Like they'll show, like, if Sue hits a note, they'll be looking at something else,
right,
and then come to Sue afterwards. So yeah, I don't know.
Totally
it's a
makes
little
sense.
Weird. But I think this was a really interesting experience, though, to have them up multiply, and I think I might want to try to set that up. Like I was just doing this by hand, pausing and restarting to get them in sync, and the breaks between songs are not quite exactly the same, so you have to do that on every song. But it would be interesting to do that just in general, to have like all 5 shows up and like watch them that way, because it's neat to see. It's neat to be able to see sort of more context. You can see like what's happening on the big screen in some cases, and not in others. And so anyway, I recommend doing that, though it was a little bit difficult.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I had much more to say about that. I attempted to do that with the other 3 that started with In the Name Of, but trying to get 3 synced by hand is, I just gave up after a while. Because I have the audio from all 3 playing in my ears, and I don't know which one's ahead.
Sure.
I have to try to determine it on video, and yeah, it was not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Overall, I'm quite pleased with it. The wallet pain aside.
Right.
Just overall impressions. I think it's very obvious that they were very excited to be back on stage after so long. Especially in the circumstances of the year. At that point, everybody had. You can kind of see that in everybody's performance. It's just all a little bit extra than we're used to. They're always really great on stage, and they always have an awesome commanding stage presence that's very fun. But I think they really turned it up a notch for these, and I don't think it's. I think it's fair to say that's they're extra excited to have been performing in front of people again, and that translates to the video as well.
So there were a couple things that we we only really got access to. Well, I don't know if everyone's done this, but I mean, like the specific things that we didn't have before. Like, I think we didn't have syncopation. I don't think we did. I know we didn't have From Dusk Till Dawn. I don't think we had Starlight.
You mean like talking on video?
Yeah.
No,
Onodari de Saxa and Akatsuki. I think all these syncopation was on Wow Wow.
Syncopation. Oh, you mean for Wow Wow? Because I was going to say syncopation actually was performed at a couple places actually. And I know for sure Big Fox Festival was one of them.
Yeah. No, I just meant the Budokan performances.
I see.
Like
Okay.
we had parts of 1 and 2 from Wow Wow, but we didn't have From Dusk Till Dawn.
No.
Right.
And we didn't have, and I don't think we had Starlight. I know we had Homage and I.
Yep.
We didn't have BMC or Brand New Day. I don't think.
No, we did not.
So did you watch them? I mean, I don't know if we want to talk about those now that we know them.
Yeah, I mean, those are the ones. Those are the first things I watched. They were the ones that the shows that I hadn't seen yet. I honestly don't know what else to say other than they're awesome performances. It was cool to see them. I think that copy of Brand New Day might be better than the one they did at Legend Metal Galaxy. It feels a little bit more refined. It feels edited and shot better than it did at Legend Metal Galaxy.
Yeah, I felt like just the screens kind of enveloped them a little too much at Legend Metal Galaxy, whereas that performance, because I've seen like clips of it, you're just seeing them, and it.
Well, and not even that, you're seeing silhouettes of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although that was pretty intentional. I mean, like the
absolutely.
It was.
They were going for silhouettes. And I was thinking, that's what I was thinking about the Budokan one, is that it had the potential to be not silhouette based, but they still managed to kind of silhouette it anyway. Because the lights really weren't on them. It was just lit, but they were just lit from below by the stage. So only a few shots really you can see them. Most of the time they're still just shadows.
Yeah.
But still, the scales are much better.
Yes.
And I loved the fact that they did the snapping when they came in.
Right.
I'm not sure to what extent, probably everybody has experienced this, but those snaps are actually a little bit hard to time. It takes a little bit of thought to figure out when they're going to come, because I don't know, for some reason they always come earlier than I would have expected until I learned how to figure out when they were going to be. But it's cool to see that they did them too. So yeah, they sort of, as they came on, they as the sort of like intro music was playing, they mimed the snaps.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
I listened to the Legend Metal Galaxy version of it a fair amount, but it was slightly different. I mean, like it was the vocal interpretation, Sue's interpretation was a little different on this, and that was interesting to hear too.
Yeah.
What else? Onodari de Saxon was even better than I thought it was going to be.
That's always good.
I thought Song 4 was pretty good. Or no, I'm sorry, GJ was pretty good from 9 and 10. Yeah, the OD really kicked it up a notch. As much as I miss the original Black Baby Metal and Yui doing these songs, I'm really quite pleased and don't think they could have done a better job adapting them for a Moa solo.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it'll always be a little bittersweet watching it, but holy crap, are these performances fun, really well thought out. And I've said this before, they've done a really great job making it kind of make sense in so much as, a woman in her early 20s singing a song meant for the 12-year-old.
Right.
They've just adapted it very well using the Amuse Kids and making it more of a teaching song rather than I guess it's always been kind of a teaching song, at least OD has, but you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah, I get it.
More like imparting the knowledge to somebody rather than themselves.
Right.
Well, yeah, it sort of used to be like little mischievous kids telling other kids how to be mischievous, right?
Yeah.
And now it's sort of like big sister telling little sisters how to be mischievous and get money out of dad or whatever.
That's it. That's what I was trying to formulate in my brain and couldn't get there. Thank you for that.
But it was made even more sort of clear, I think, than I was envisioning it before I saw it.
Sure.
I mean, like, she really sort of like, she pointed to each of the, whatever baby bones people.
Yeah.
And, like in turn giving them instructions and ran up to each of them and kind of encouraged them and stuff. And it was but it was very much like, here's how you do it, kids.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The other thing that sort of struck me more than usual is, I don't know how to say this exactly. I felt like Moa was somewhat opaque there. I mean, like, she was just like a show person. There wasn't a sense of Moa behind it. It was really, it really seemed like, she was
Ringleader.
like absolutely doing this. Like, so I don't know if she was having fun in a sense, I mean, like, she made all the right facial expressions, but
she looked like she was having a blast.
Oh yeah.
This to me, and same with GJ, didn't really look like Moa Metal on stage. It looked more like Kikuchi Moa having fun.
You think?
Like, yeah, in a way that I haven't really seen since she graduated from SG.
Yeah, I guess what I was going for was almost the opposite, though, that she seemed like so much professional at that point that, like, I don't know. We see different things, maybe.
Well, I mean, you can be professional and be more yourself. A professional version of herself rather than her character, I suppose.
Maybe, yeah. But it was definitely, I mean, even with all the older stuff, I mean, all the sort of choreography and everything is it's very precise now.
Yeah. 10 years of dancing will do that to you.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit.
Though another thing that we did find out from that translation that we're not going to talk about until later is that probably as we suspected, but they had very narrow time windows to do this stuff. I mean, like it is 10 years of practice and all that stuff, but it's 10 years in small bursts.
Sure.
So let's see. I don't know if there's what else was new. I mean, From Dusk Till Dawn, I don't know what to say about that exactly. We were all kind of waiting to see what it was, and it looked good. And I'm pretty sure that they very strategically used a front center shot on Sue Metal for almost all the time that she was mouthing words, so that her microphone hid anything that she was saying.
That's quite the conspiracy theory. Maybe.
Well, watch it again and see if you think I'm wrong. There's no clues from her from what her mouth does on what she's saying. Also, I'm pretty sure that all the sort of like falsetto stuff is still backtrack, but even
Probably.
She was mouthing it, but you couldn't see what she was doing anyway.
Yeah.
So
nice to have an official copy of that can be released to the public.
True. Yeah. I like it. It's a good song.
Cool.
I do think it was something of a remix too. I mean, like, I didn't go back and listen to the album version, but it didn't sound quite familiar entirely. I think they did kind of retool it a bit.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know about that.
BMC. I think I like this one. I think I like this BMC more than Legend Metal Galaxy, just because it's not quite so extended in the middle. And they did a hilarious thing when they came in where they all sort of like walked onto the stage and then bumped arms.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute.
Anyway, great stuff.
Definitely.
But it's true, there's a lot of stuff. I'm not sure I don't know when I'm going to actually sit and watch each one in sequence.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Crap ton.
And it's a lot of mostly the same songs, I think, which is why I haven't committed like a day to just sit down and watch it. I can only watch so much of the same content with only 2 songs changing every night, sometimes 3.
That's why I think I would really actually like that multi-panel shot. Like for the songs that can be in sync.
Sure.
Just see them, watch them all at once, and I would watch that repeatedly as I, scan around to the different shows. That
would be a cool fan edit.
Yeah. And I mean, another thing that people are surely going to do is like pick their favorite of them and then try to make a compilation that's just all of the songs, all the unique songs. But I would actually like the multi-panel one more, I think.
Actually, in closing, I think the last thing I want to mention about this series of concerts from, what we're able to see now is they didn't isolate Momoko as much as they have in the past, or just the Avenger in general. She has a lot of content and she has a lot of screen time, both in the photo book and in the the video edits. Like she doesn't have her own. I don't think she has a single headshot or anything, a solo shot in the photo book, but she's in the photos, which we haven't seen with past Avengers, really. Right? They've always tried to hide the Avenger.
Somewhat, yeah.
And this feels the video edit feels a lot closer to an edit they would have done with Yui still in the group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's true. There's definitely a number of times when you see just Momoko, like sort of frowning or, making eye contact or studying or whatever.
Right.
The little studying motion that she does in Gimme Chocolate. So she's very concerned about this thing that she's trying to write. It's a funny expression she's got. And in a number of the edits too. I mean, like I saw it in both. What were the two that I watched again? 5 and 6 and 9 and 10.
Yeah,
there's so much.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna comment or put my tinfoil hat on for what that could or could not mean in the future, but I'm just happy to see that they're not completely cropping out the Avenger anymore.
Yeah. I wonder if that is assisted at all by the fact that it was just a consistent person throughout that whole series.
Could very well be. If I'm sitting in the editing bay doing that, having to switch between 3 different performers would be very frustrating for consistency. Yeah. So it could very well be just because it's the same person through all 10 shows, they can do that and not have a continuity error.
So that's I guess that's probably more or less it for the release stuff.
Yes.
If you get a chance to watch them, they are excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend.
I don't know if you can still buy them.
Not the 1 editions, of course.
I don't, not the 1 edition for sure.
Yeah, but I expect the 9 and 10 one will be forever available.
Yeah.
And so I guess we could probably talk about the build up to the 10th. There's still, we're only an hour and 15 minutes in,
something like that.
But actually there's not a whole lot to talk about there. They did a funny thing on Instagram on, I guess it was the 2nd, when it turned the 2nd in Japan, where they posted this like mostly black square with like a little triangle in the upper left corner. And that was briefly puzzling until it became sort of clear that what that's got to be is the little hook on the lower right edge of the BABYMETAL logo, the L.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then so, as predicted, and so then like the next one was just black, if I remember right.
Yeah, that was funny.
And then there was another little triangle. And eventually they built up to a 9 grid of basically sort of like, it's essentially sort of like a cast in stone version of the logo that I think they used for the live show. So it's got little embedded images from the different, from the past shows in the logo.
It's pretty neat.
But it's all set in gray.
Yeah, they just grayscaled that same logo and made it look stony.
Yeah.
That's funny you mentioned knowing what it was almost immediately. Maggie and I had a little Twitter DM conversation about it. And I said, this is either, after that first image was posted, it's either 100% the logo or the bottom hook of the kanji for sealed.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
But then when I went to look at the sealed logo, I couldn't see any similar triangle. So
yeah,
there's always, it's because this was being fed to us day by day, there was always a possibility that, somewhere there'd be a surprise,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either maybe in the middle there'd be a sealed logo or a kanji, or maybe at, the worst case, the very ninth thing would be like, see you, comma.
Right.
Right.
But no, it's kind of, the way these things often go is it's exactly what you expect. Mm-hmm. There is no surprise. The surprise is that there was no surprise.
Haha.
Got him.
Yeah.
Koba sitting in his armchair just got him.
Yes.
I'm reminded of, I don't know what it was, like Airplane 2 or something.
Oh, no.
Turning on the runway lights, that's just what they'd be expecting us to do. But anyway, so they reached that point. They fed it out in such a way that 9 would the 9 posts would be would get to us on the 10th, and then just after the 10th ended, they posted a video on their YouTube channel, which is a version of the 1.
Yes.
So
very pretty.
What do you think about that?
It was very, very pretty. Like that was That was cry inducing. It was really, really good. Although, I mean, for those may have not seen it, I'm sure most people have, but if you haven't, it's just really pretty. So it's obvious that they shot this like before a performance of the Budokan, because they are in the Budokan, or at least Sue is at the beginning, and then Moa kind of walks around during the better half of the song.
That's what makes it the better half.
Hey, hey, I have my favorites. Anyway, so they have a setup of lights on the seats of the Budokan, and they flash like gently during her singing. And it's not just the one, but it's the one English version, but it's also the one English version unfinished, which is right. I always think is just absolutely beautiful. I just love it. And then like towards the end of the song, there's this whole big CGI thing where it's them two walking up the Living Legends stairs up to the lights, and then they shoot off into space, and it's just, I don't know. It's just something about it is just chef's kiss. It was just awesome, I think. But yeah, it was very, very pretty, very well done, and not exactly what I expected, but which is what they're good at.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just very nice. Although people tend to hate on the one a lot. I don't know why, but oh well.
I know my opinion of that song sort of oscillates a little bit. It has highs and lows.
Fair enough.
Sometimes I like it, sometimes I skip it, but
it works way better live.
It does.
It's definitely not one I listen to regularly, just as audio. But I love every performance I'm attending of it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, sort of. I mean, like the downside of that is that almost always when you hear it, that means it's just about over.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, would you say it's bittersweet?
Yes. Let's discuss whether it's bitter or sweet or bittersweet. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was cool that they had
Maggie just got what was going on there.
Yes.
I'm sorry, audience, if you're not in our Discord, we had a little conversation in our general chat about that. I'm not gonna relive it for the episode, but that's a little bit. Join our Discord if you want to be in on inside jokes like that.
Yes.
Right. Even though that probably will not make it into the feed, but so the people who heard it are in the chat room. Maybe I'll leave it in just for that reason. Yeah, it was cool that they used the Budokan, when they had the opportunity to do this, that they actually filmed this, because clearly they filmed this no later than April, right?
Yeah,
right.
And so, and there were no musicians. What the unfinished version has is just like strings and piano. So it's all kind of backtrack and vocals. But it was really nice. They definitely did set this up not to answer any questions exactly. Like, so
right.
And it is my belief that it's my guess, not necessarily belief, that they may not actually know really what's happening. So it's not like there's information they know that they're withholding from us, but they've set it up in such a way that any continuation is possible. This could be the, if in fact they, in a little while say, all right, well, yeah, that was it. It was fun. This is a good way to end it. But it doesn't say that it's over.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Very open-ended.
And I honestly, I would kind of hope that if it were over, they would say that it was over. Like they would do something more spectacular than this. But nevertheless, this is still kind of like a nicely packaged 10 years.
There was actually a, on the whole like speculation of things, because obviously there was some noise on social media about it. There was actually a really nice thread on Twitter that I read about like reasons behind why they wouldn't disband if they were disbanding. I know that's a big word, I know, but it was actually quite nice, and it was thought provoking, just more because of the the thought process behind more of the business side of Baby Metal, which a lot of people always kind of tramp on a lot. But it was actually quite good. So I don't know, like all that thought process there kind of puts an into perspective of, if they put out this really beautiful just peace, you know, I don't think they're going anywhere for a while. So, but, you know, that's my opinion, and it is what it is, I guess. And we'll just have to see. Only the fox knows, as they always say.
Yeah. I mean, if it were my project and it were over, I would probably sink whatever revenue there is available into going out big like this.
Oh, okay.
So I think it could go exactly the other way as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
That particular, I mean, essentially that was, I think I know what thread you're talking about. And that particular one, it was really just primarily saying, anyone who has any business sense wouldn't let this be the end. But I think that premise there, anyone who has any business sense, is somewhat up for debate.
Okay.
So we'll see. It didn't feel like I was convinced one way or the other, because I do think that they may not know. There's I mean, another thing that comes up occasionally is that another big act with Amuse is One OK Rock.
Yeah.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Formally.
Well, it's actually One Ok Rock, but yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's one. It's One Ok Rock because it's supposed to like be a play on 1 o'clock, because I guess that's when they originally started, like band practice was at 1 o'clock. So they was
That's
one
hilarious.
Ok Rock. Yeah, they were they had been what's the word I'm looking for, nominated for an award at the APMAs back in, what was it, 2016 17, I think it was 2016. And the lady had announced it like that, and I was like, that's totally wrong, what is this crap? And then oh no, she was actually right. So because no, it's one Ok Rock.
That's interesting. I've never heard it actually spoken. I've only read it. So
Same here.
Very interesting. Well, anyway, so they fairly recently, didn't follow this too carefully, but they fairly recently they split from Amuse and are independent.
Right.
I think partly so that they can pursue international opportunities or whatever. Amuse itself is changing in various ways, you know. So they've dropped the Sakura Gakuen project. And I just, part of what made me think about this is just like yesterday, 2 days ago or something, I got something from Stolabo Tokyo, which is their sort of like video hosting service, that said they're not accepting any new, you cannot resubscribe anymore. So once the existing subscriptions run out, it's over.
Oh.
And that was the place where, like Night of Spica was the main reason that I was there. But I mean, like they had, there's a bunch of videos from sort of like SG alums and stuff, as well as other Amuse acts there. But it seems like they're shutting that down. And so I am now kind of wondering if Amuse really is undergoing some kind of reorganization that might ultimately lead to BABYMETAL being independent or different in some way that could lead them not to know what's next. I mean, like they might not know what's next because they don't know what the bureaucratic organizational structure is going to be.
Right. Huh. That does kind of make
sense.
things, that does kind of change the thought process a little bit, I guess.
And I actually don't understand the relationship between Toys Factory and Amuse and BABYMETAL either. Like, it's quite possible that BABYMETAL could leave Amuse and still be with Toys Factory. That's likely, I think. But I don't really know how all these entities interact.
Yeah, because Muse is just like their like management, aren't they? I think.
Well, it's their record label.
Yeah. Well, their record.
Toys Factory is the record label.
Yeah, Toys Factory is the record label, as long among
Amuse is the talent agency.
BABYMETAL Records / Cooking Vinyl and Ear something. But I think that's just
Ear Music. Yeah.
They're just distributors essentially, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of companies involved. So Ear Music, I think, is European distribution, and
Cooking Vinyl's US, I think.
Yeah. But anyway, so part of what I was thinking about the indecision here is it might be like a show that got canceled and is jumping networks, right? You know, like sometimes they will sort of close off season 5 and then season 6 will be on, you know, UPN or something.
Paul, you can't say that. Nobody in our audience is going to remember UPN or know what that was.
I understand. I know.
It would be like jumping to Netflix.
Yeah, probably.
Essentially. There you
that's
go.
probably better.
That's the better correlation there.
I'm trying to think what was I thinking of Buffy
Paul,
maybe or
Dragon Fury in chat just said Paul dated himself hard, and I agree. He dated himself hard there.
Yeah. Just a wee bit there, sir.
There were a couple of series from my era that did that. I think Buffy might have done that. Sliders did that. Babylon 5 did that, I think, where they kind of made it partway on one network and then jumped somewhere else for the end.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Star Trek Voyager was the flagship show for UPN.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. I like that show. That's a good show.
UPN,
Sorry.
That's the P in that is Paramount, right? I mean, so that's still
it's
still a Star Trek.
Universal Paramount. Oh, that
no.
makes sense now.
No, it's Is it United or is it Universal? Paramount Network.
I thought it was Universal.
I don't remember.
But
it's something Paramount. It's something Paramount Network.
Yeah, which is still the place that you find all the Star Trek properties.
Right.
TV properties.
Now they have Paramount Plus on whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway. I'm sure we could have found out all about this at the neighboring room at Dragon Con.
Yeah, back to the 21st century.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, like at this point, in a sense, we were told they were going to be sealed away from view. We've heard a little bit from Koba interviews about his book and stuff like that. Just kind of, and in fact, I think from Toys Factory officially too, that essentially they are out of view until unsealed. And that's all we know. And Koba said something like, "Who knows?" Well, he said only the Fox God knows. But it's like could be 1 year, could be 5 years, could be 10 years. I'm kind of hoping that in a sense that was just kind of either sort of a turn of phrase or just just being dramatic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just hyperbole.
But I don't.
It's not coming back in 10 years. If it's not back in 2, I think they're done.
Yeah, no, I think that is probably correct. But I do sort of suspect that it is not just sort of health related. That I think that it's not just waiting for the pandemic to end. That there are other things, other questions, and part of the obvious questions could be, do we still want to do this? But I mean, like they've been answering that question in the affirmative fairly regularly in interviews for a while,
and emphatically.
So,
yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I think where I stand on the whole thing is it doesn't make business sense for them to just close. Right? You don't spend 10 years building this brand. Like, if they were going to end, it would have been after Yui left. They committed to a new thing. They went through a hard transition. They started building momentum again with Metal Galaxy, then toured, and then the pandemic happened, which screwed the entire industry, not just Baby Metal.
Yeah.
And they didn't do a great job adapting to it. They could have done more. That's a complaint we're always going to have, but hindsight 2020.
2020, I get it.
They still have an incredibly powerful brand, that's international. If I'm on the Muse board, I want to do everything to keep this group because we lost One Ok Rock. Right. So our only other big international presence is Perfume. And I would actually argue that Baby Metal has a bigger international footprint than Perfume.
They do. They
just
actually
because
do.
they've spent a lot more time overseas than Perfume has.
Mm-hmm.
So I would want to do everything to keep this group in my portfolio.
Right.
If I'm on the Amuse board. So that's my business sense. But at the same time, Koba's always been given basically full control as far as we know to do whatever the heck he wants. So if he wants to end it, I don't think that the board will be able to stop him. I see this as a couple of things. They can't tour internationally at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming up on about the right time to start releasing new music.
Yeah.
They might not know exactly where they want to go. Maybe they want to flip the narrative a bit and go a completely new direction, inspired by the Metal Resistance era. But really for me, the only conclusion I can draw from the messaging, the interviews, and the video they posted very late on the 10th is that we're transitioning into something new. We're saying thank you and goodbye to the last 10 years. That's all this video is for. Thanks for coming with us on this journey. Let's fly away into the galaxy and see where it goes from here.
Yeah. And who knows what that means for, assuming that they do continue and do something else, it still might be that we don't see much, Megitsune anymore.
Yeah. Could be.
So who knows? Yeah. And I guess the other thing about the business sense angle is that there's always a risk with the argument that MUs could not let this go because it's just making them too much money, is that one option they would always have is just to say, okay, kick everyone out. We're gonna bring in a new manager and some new fresh SG alums and just start over. And in a sense, I don't think that would be likely to be what we want to see. But it would it would do the business thing that the business people wanted for a while.
Yeah.
So
be interesting to know who owns the rights to the name and all of that.
Yeah. Because it's quite possible that, back in 2010, this was not a major thought on Koba's mind,
Right.
Keeping the rights to that. So I could easily imagine that signing that away to your employer as work product.
Yeah. I mean, really all that to say, I don't think this is the end. I don't see them ending on a 50% capacity Budokan months before a cryptic, quote unquote, end to a group. I think if they're going to end, we will see one more thing.
Yeah.
Whether that be a video or some sort of big blowout live when they can have a full capacity venue and international fans can take part. I can't imagine for somebody who spent 10 years building a portfolio of lore, story, and, aura to just go out on a whimper like that. It doesn't make sense if you've paid attention at all to what they've done in the last 10 years and how they've presented themselves as a group. It would be like the final chapter literally just saying, see you after a 1,000-page novel. I
think so. Although, the only thing is that I think if the Budokan shows had been full strength, if there hadn't been the pandemic issue, that's exactly how they would have ended, I think.
Yeah. I can see that.
So that's the only thing that sort of pushes against that a little bit, is that they did kind of do exactly what you would expect them to do if they were ending. Yeah. Under the conditions that they were allowed.
Yeah. I think it's also I think it's also worth mentioning too. There's some major life milestones coming up in the next year that maybe they're sealing to give Sue and Moa the opportunity to complete. They're both, if they're both on track, they should be graduating university this year. We know Moa is in university, so this would be the year she graduates, her final year, and I know that's difficult for anybody, right? So maybe they're doing that. If Sue's also in university, she would be, if not last year, this year. Who knows what she's doing?
She might be graduating in December.
This could be just so that they can finally finish uni and catch up on real life. They haven't really taken a break in 10 years. Almost half their lives they've devoted to being performers and always being on the road and doing various things. So heck, take a vacation, even if it's just a vacation. Take a year off.
Yeah, I agree. I totally 100% agree on that.
I think Moa said at some point in one of these recent interviews that she observed that more than half of her life has been in this group.
Yeah. Go spend some money, go to Disneyland, have some fun, be young.
Yeah. Although it's true, whenever we talk about that, it is remarked upon that, we're in October now. And the last thing we know they did was in April.
Right.
So the break has started for them a while back, even though not for us.
Definitely.
So, anyway, so we'll see. But at least for the foreseeable future, we still have things to talk about here on the podcast. And
definitely.
We've managed to burn through an hour and a half already.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Still plenty to talk about. Still a lot of cool things to share. A lot of translations. A lot of just thought processes and stuff. Yeah.
But next time, I think it would be a good time to talk about the BABYMETAL's Legends book.
Yes,
I agree.
Since we recently got a translation of that, and I think that I found it pretty interesting to read, and I would like to reread it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I think after that, there's still a ton of stuff. Translations. We at some point we've been planning on talking about the evolution of the costumes, and there's all kinds of stuff that there's still things to talk about even while they're sealed Han Solo like away.
Yes.
Definitely.
So, okay. Anything else that we want to say this time?
Stick with us.
Yeah, I don't think so. Hopefully it won't be another month before we record again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. So that's it for this episode. You can join us on the Baby Metal Podcast Discord to continue the conversation. Rating the podcast on whatever platform you listen on will help people find it, so please do that. We'll be back here in about 2 weeks. We hope you'll join us then. And until then, see you.
See you.